We are living legends. Know thyself, and you shall know all of the mysteries of the gods and of the universe.
For more spirit science content, give a thumbs up and like. Don't forget to subscribe to stay in tune, and hit the bell for new spirit science videos. Spirit science of the day.
Understanding your duality. Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. There are those who would say that this kind of communication is impossible to have, difficult. What is the process, they say, that would allow a human being to speak as if a human was the link? And I'll tell you, that process is easy to explain. For the human is the angel on earth. There's a direct pipeline to spirit, and you have called it the higher self. This spiritual part of the human is there like an antenna, waving in the breeze all your life. Some of you know what to do with it and plug it into that sacred pipeline. Most don't. But when you do, it is when your most profound meditations occur. The invitation in this energy is to learn to develop that pipeline and tune into that energy. There are many who are just beginning to tune into the higher self energy. These are the ones who are discovering for the first time in their lives that there is more than they thought about God. I have told you for 18 years that the earth is beginning to vibrate higher. What you see on your news today is the shaking that is going on, and there's more to come. That is to say, there are many who are being dislodged from their mythology, asking the question, what is real, what is not? They are saying, why do I feel in my heart and my soul that God is bigger than I was told? And some will be brought to look into the words I've given over these last 18 years, and they will be overwhelmed with the teaching. Where do I start, they say, or what should I do next? Where is a beginning primer, so I don't have to wade through all the graduate material to find the basics? The answer is what you are hearing and reading, and I have commissioned my partner to do a series on channeling called the Lightworkers Handbook, a place to start. I have commissioned him with instructions to make it available within the largest venue he can, so that the most can see it with free choice to examine it or not. There are those who are beginning this journey who are just arriving, sitting here asking the question, what is this feeling? Could it be real that a human being is doing what it looks like he is doing, channeling? And if he's not, why do I feel like he is? And these are good questions, and the answer is that Earth is indeed vibrating higher, starting to let the consciousness open. Every single one you have Lemurian traits, if not directly, then indirectly. That is to say, you are the lineage of the Lemurian race. Those who had a quantum view of the universe, who awakened first with the information about who they were. Here you are, sitting in this modern day, when there is another awakening group on, and you're on the front lines, since the first ones to awaken are the old souls. We have told you that before. So, old soul, you might have all the experience, but you still have the earthly, three-dimensional rules pressed upon you, and a cultural mythology of who you are and who God is. The following things may go against what you were taught, and if that is so, stop and weigh the energy of truth. Do not assume that everything you are reading or hearing is absolutely so, for we wish you to use your own discernment engine. Use the intellect that is combined with the heart and ask the spirit, could it be, is this right? For some of these things will challenge your very core belief system, everything that you have been taught. That's what we do today, bring up all the dark stuff. I proclaim that this is lesson 2 of the Lightworkers Handbook. The first lesson created an understanding that there is more than you think happening on the earth. The beginning, the harmonic convergence, the increased tools, new intuitions, and the opening of energy that you are all a part of. All that was covered in lesson 1. So we have chosen this astute place for lesson 2. Let the listener and the reader know that the place where this information is being given is the origin of Kryon. Sitting here are family members who are in their human bodies were patient and kind with the engineer, my partner, in those early days of channeling. They gave me allowance of no experience and let him be while he found that he needed to find. And so it comes full circle, and he is back here in the energy where it began, not too far where it all physically started. The reason we have chosen his venue is because the subject is tough and something that you should know about. The news is not bad news, it is simply profound news. Get ready, for you have not heard this before. It will challenge and shake the very core of your belief system. Some will be angered, some will not. Some will feel compelled to strike back. Most will not, for these are the energies that are the core of your duality, the study of dark and light within you. Defining duality. The first thing you must know past the fact that there is divinity within you is that on this planet there is something called duality. That duality represents itself as a balance to the divinity, the darkest energy you can ever conceive of, which is you with your name on it. It comes in with you at your birth and does not leave until your last breath. Some have called it the shadow self, some have called it the dark self, some have called it evil, and some have called it the dark side. This attribute of you has a name, and it is called duality. Duality is entirely appropriate, for it is a designed part of you. It is assigned to you at birth, and you do not carry it in from the other side of the veil. For this planet is the cauldron of duality, where the test is being accomplished. The test is that angels pretending to be humans come to even the playing field, and with the duality, dark and light, try to find the balance between the two. It is a test of energy, not the human, but it feels as though it is a test of your soul. And you might have noticed each human being must decide for themselves if it is real or not. You must decide individually, without evangelism from any organization, without those telling you what to believe and not to believe. The days are starting to diminish when you simply hang your soul belief onto the wagon of history and the mythology it represents. For this new energy is beginning to draw out individual examination of spiritual things, a desire to really know the truth. When you come into the earth, you get something you didn't plan on, and I want to tell you all about it. I want to tell you how powerful it is, and I'm going to give you an example of it. Then I want to tell you what you can do about it. Before we go any further, let us discuss what this energy of duality has done for your history, for it is the basis and the core of all religious mythology. It is the basis and the core even for the Greek gods. The duality of humanity has driven all the stories there are about magic, about good and bad, about dark and light, the powers that are here. The human being, even in your own modern culture, is taught that in heaven, a long time ago, there was a struggle. This, by the way, did not occur. There is no struggle on the other side of the veil. Struggle and conflict are concepts based in duality. Think about it. God does not share in your 3D experience, yet you continue to base so much spiritual history as though this was so. Angels don't fight, there is no struggle for power, and the paradigm of your consciousness does not transfer over to the working of the spirit. But in this mythology, an angel actually fell from heaven, and his name was Lucifer. That's tough, because there's no such thing as heaven. Again, you have created places in an interdimensional state, and that's impossible. There's only home, the place you are when you're not here. And it's not a place. It's a state of interdimensional energy, and it's timeless. But as the mythology goes, the fallen angel was responsible for developing a place of his own, an evil place called hell, which you will go if you don't believe. Now, stop the story. Does that really sound like God to you? Or does that sound like man to you? I ask this only because at some point you must discern the truth and separate what you have been told from what your intuition is now telling you. Read on and consider your family would create this. Hell is where you go automatically when you die, according to the mythology. There you suffer forever, period. Unless, of course, you do something while you're here on earth. Something that is to join and to be, to proclaim, to get in one of the boxes of your cultural belief. Again, does that sound like God, or does that sound like man's creation? Dear ones, again we say there is no Lucifer. I will tell you something, and it's very interesting about humanity. Everything good that happens to you, you say, God is good. God did this for me. I'm so glad I'm close to God because God did it. And when something bad happens, human beings often say, well, this is awful. This is the evil side. The devil got a hold of me. I don't know what happened. This attitude, of course, means that humans are not responsible for anything good or bad. They just float along hoping they don't get pulled into the wrong energy as they mind their own business. But if they're lucky, the struggle between God and Satan won't touch them. The human will win eventually and go to heaven when they die, if they behave and give their powers away to the mythology of history, which can be found in more than 700 versions of spiritual belief on this planet, in structures of many shape and rules of many variations. Does that sound like God? It is not. It's man's mythology, often dished up with much integrity by spiritual leaders who are certain that theirs is the correct path. This is not told you to cast judgment on any. It's simple historical truth. We've told you from the beginning that we honor every and all searches for God. But the new energy seeker needs to start discerning the truth for themselves. So we are aiding in that, giving you a different perspective, for it will change the future and begin a higher vibration on the earth. Note here that this is not a message to pull you into yet another spiritual box, for there is no organization around this Kryon work, or the New Age in general. There is no place to join anything, no structure to visit, no historical human prophet to worship, and no central book of rules. This is a new paradigm of spirituality, where millions will begin to examine the truth that resides inside themselves, all the rules, all the doctrine, all the love that brought them to this place. They will check it against what they feel and what they see around them. Many will wonder how such a large, worldwide group of humans can be so collective in their thoughts, without structure or leadership or membership in anything. It is a new way of things, where what you will discover internally is what is true and real, instead of what you were told from those who are echoing the mythology of history, most of which doesn't even agree with itself. What drives validation of this mythology about the push and pull energies on Earth is very real. It is this disbelief you have that something so dark might actually reside in you, or the disbelief that something so grand like God could reside in you. You are taught that you are nothing, born dirty, and therefore you give away the power of the good and you give away the power of the bad. There you sit, powerless, clueless that both of these profound powers are seated right in your soul. Do you see? In that state of worthlessness, you are then ripe for almost anyone to capture your interest in their own system of God. 85% of the planet's population has indeed created for itself the boxes where they can explain all this in a 3D fashion. Isn't it interesting that the first thing a human does when they come of age is to look for these answers? It is God in your DNA that drives the search for the Creator. Here is the truth. There is a piece of God that comes in with you, and we discussed that last time. It resides in you, and it's waiting to be awakened. And it is a quantum energy, interdimensional but in 3D. And it is beautiful. It is light. There's a reason why you're being prodded and pulled to sit in the chair. So you know that you're part of everything. There is no accident that you are here or listening to this. It is with your full permission, you know. And you may not know what it is yet that you are supposed to do about it, but know this. Simply your very existence to ask changes the planet. Did you know that? Just being here, listening, helps the planet. That's a message for another day. This piece of God in you has a balance, for also residing within you is the darkest of the dark, and it's got your name on it. Therefore, this duality, we said that, but you need to hear it again. The 3D approach to battle. The 3D approach to battle is that if you have an enemy, you defeat it. In 3D, you go to battle and you kill it, then it's gone. And you arise victorious and you say, that which was part of the evil in me has been slain and now it is gone. That's reasonable to you. So there are a lot of places where you can go to slay the monster within. And you don't have to look far for help with this. But this isn't the case with duality. For you are with it all your life. To destroy it means the death of the human, but many say it doesn't make sense to have an enemy that is so strong within me, and just let it be. It must be dealt with. But you do deal with this energy within you without the concept of elimination. Instead, we call it balance, and this, dear one, is an advanced concept for almost every human alive. For it must void out the instinct of survival in the core sense of the word. It transcends the flee or fight feeling and replaces them with a wisdom that is what we have been trying to give you for 18 years. Therefore, this lesson too is the acknowledgement of that which is in you, which you don't want to even admit is there. It's a stretch to believe that you have God inside, but it's not that hard to find it. But to believe that core evil is also within you is an insult to your intellectual self and the integrity that most of you carry for an honest life. In other words, this whole concept is one that you must examine out of the box. Revelations of the truth of duality. The duality reveals itself in so many different ways. I shouldn't even have to list them, but for those who are just coming into, I will. From those things that are minor to those things that are not. Drama is one. Drama. Have you met those human beings who survive only by spinning in drama? The irony is that they are the ones who will be on the phone to you, the light worker, for your balance, and carry a light that attracts those who are not. They'll say, there's more drama than I can stand in my life. There is this and there is that. I thought I'd handle this, but this came back. Then
but when you hang up that
give
phone, you know what'll happen,
100th
don't
time,
you?
and it will be good.
They will
as it
not
always
take your
has been.
advice at all. They just wanted a voice on the other end telling them what they already knew. Then the next day you get the call and they will say, well, this has happened and this has happened and this has happened. It just seems to keep going. Finally, you might even tell them the truth. You might say, are you aware that you are drawing this all to you, that you survive on it? And they will say, never. I would never ask for such a thing, but they do. And I'll tell you why. Because they are comfortable with it. For there was no drama in their life. They would have to look at the shaman that they are. Blessed is the human being who has dropped the drama and seen the spiritual side. For quite often the drama hides something just as profound, a light that will pour into their life. But they are so afraid of it. Therefore, drama covers up having to deal with reality, and drama becomes comfortable. Worry is next. Worry about everything. Those who worry are those who feel that they are powerless to create anything. There are those of you waking up at 3 in the morning worrying about the fact that you don't have anything to worry about. When you start to balance that dark thing inside you call duality, one of the things that goes away is worry, because you have a sense that the system is starting to work, and indeed, you're not alone. There's a plan, and worry starts to drop away. But it's that dark thing that wants to wake you up and say, well, look at this, let's worry about it. Then it gives you this, what you call a laundry list of things to worry about. That's when you cannot even go back to sleep. Then you get up, you know what that feels like, don't you? That is absolutely human. Drama and worry lead to lack of self-worth and fear. You look at yourself in the mirror and all you see is an aging human being. And that's all you think life is about. Where's my youth, you say? Why can't I go backwards, you say? What is life all about? I am such a small part of this system. And that dark thing inside you will say, right on, boy. Have you got it right? You're nothing. You never will be. You're here by accident. When you die, that's it. You're gone. And for whatever reason, the human hangs his head and says, yeah. In your perspective, it may not be fair. What I'm about to say, but fair is 3D for you, and does not represent the grandness of what humans have set up for themselves on this planet. For the dark side of you is easy to bring out. The God side of you is not. The irony is that it is so easy to bring out that you have denied it and created an entity who is responsible, the devil. So it seems the devil is everywhere and God is nowhere. The reality is that this is the balance of duality. You have to look for God, but the dark side is always pushing the buttons. It was created this way and is fair in its balance. You will see why in the last section. For the discovery of the God self tilts the balance forever. There are reasons for all of this that are very profound but difficult to explain in 3D. There's got to be a balance, a yin and a yang to everything within nature. It's always about balance.
The test of energy on Earth is done by pieces of God disguised as humans. They come, they go, changing parts in this play of energy. They are not being tested, but rather are performing the test themselves. Where will the balance go when you give them both dark and light? And what will happen to Earth? The answers are hidden from you, but are part of the universal self, and the fabric of what everything is about right now regarding this Earth, the only planet of free choice for now. Those who give away themselves to these darker energies of their own duality will then fall even further to the next layer of darkness. Rage, hate, violence, death, murder without remorse. Indeed, you'll say, now Mr. Kryon, you're talking about evil. Really? And what is evil? I'll tell you, it's the dark side of what is in the human being ready to be developed and matured. If you want to go there to be an evil person, you've got all the power you want at your disposal. You can go right to it, for it is free choice. God won't stand in your way. Did you know that? Oh, there are so many humans that will say, well, that's when the devil's involved. He'll help me. He'll pull me down there. And there are cults who worship this very thing. The truth, nobody's pulling you anywhere, dear human beings. That is your free choice. Many humans go there because that's where they find their power. That's where they have power over other humans to create worry, drama, and control. The dictators of this planet, past and present, that's where they find their power. They get people to pay attention to them. If they murder enough human beings, it creates notches of fear on their power belt. That is what they do, and I don't have to tell you that. You know it. And I'll tell you, although that is evil, that is the human being exercising the power of evil. You may not want to hear this, but I have to tell you, it's needed for your full understanding of what comes next. The human being is powerful in both directions. It has the angel or the devil energies at its core. Dear Kryon, you just told me there's no such thing as a devil. I don't believe it. I have been places and I have seen the magic. I have seen demons cast out of humans' bodies. I have seen physical forms actually crawl around on the floor and leave. Human being, do you believe in miracles? And so, who told you they were always with light? Do you remember me telling you about balance? Black magic is simply miracles created from the dark power of a human. A human being can do that. There are those who said, well, I've seen voodoo, it's so real. It's so real. People give themselves over. They're killed and they got sick only because of suggestion. That's evil. And again I would say, welcome to the power of the human being. Look into your history. Look at the dictators who spoke the words that convinced so many people they were right, just so they could murder millions. I will tell you, this is the capability of the human, and it is powerful. The other side of the coin. Now, why would I tell you these things? Do not fear any of this, for I have only told you about what is the core of you, and you are in control of it all. There's another side to this, dear one. If you're reading this and hearing this for the first time, and this is lesson 2 for you, I want to tell you that this is going to get better. That dark part of you right now is saying, I don't believe it. Don't read any further. Don't listen anymore. Why? Because now I'm going to give you the rest of the story. The dark part knows that if you look further, it's all over. Because you'll see something it does not want you to see. Free choice to see the balancing power, and oh, what a power. If you could see the bucket brigade of angels in your space right now, taking the energy of interest that you have developed, you'd be amazed. For they are getting ready to fight your fight with you. You come to this planet with a piece of God in you. The dark thing in you is set to temper the beginning energy that creates karma. It is for a reason, and you have it when you are born. How many of you taught your children to be angry when another child wanted to play with a toy? How many of you parents taught your children to be jealous or to go into a rage? And you'll say, I never taught my child any of these things. And I will say, I know. They came in equipped with it, and so did you. Are you beginning to understand? Now we get to the good news. You can balance this or not. Most of humanity just sits and allows it. That is to say that the perception is that it's with you in a balance, that it's just as strong as the other side. You see it in your culture every day. You're taught that you have to go report to the building and confess all the awful things that you are and have in your mind. That's a reprieve from God's anger for a little while. Then back comes the dark thing and you've got to go back to that building and confess it again. What a concept of surrender. It's a constant yin and yang, is it not? Between being washed and being dirty. What mythology? Do you think God actually created that system? Here's what God created. Inside of you is a divine system for balancing this duality in a way where it won't be able to get a foothold. Use pure intent and say, "Dear God, I am tired of this. Show me what it is I need to know to help put this in perspective." This is the beginning, for it represents you in an intent mode, pushing on the door of the other side of the veil, asking to discover the divinity inside. It will come the beginning of balance. And we told you that in the first lesson. It will come a complete and total system. It will put that dark side of you into a place that you won't be able to find. The duality of dark and light was created for the system on this planet. But these two energies are very, very different. The darkness within you has no idea what you're doing spiritually. Think about that. Those of you who make decisions spiritually and follow the map of intuition and discernment, who pull upon the peace of God in yourself, create an energy that is invisible to the other side of your duality. That thing that is dark has no idea what you're doing or what you're done. It's just angry that it cannot reach you anymore. Once you step into the light and begin this journey, that thing that gave you such a problem all your life is relegated to being non-essential. It's like a child in the back seat who pounds upon the seat, irritates you and wants to know, "Are we there yet?" That's all I could do, pound on the back seat, but it's always there, and sometimes it's louder than at other times. Some are bothered, even those who are lightworkers. They say, "Why is it there's such a cyclical attribute to this? I thought that my spiritual work would keep it totally quiet." Not so, since it is always ready to pounce. There are cycles of weakness. Again, it is a balance. Now, did I have to tell you this? Dear lightworker, do not beat yourself up emotionally because you go through these cycles. Sometimes it is more difficult and sometimes it is less so. There are highs and lows, and it is totally normal. This is normal because, dear human being, you're always working the puzzle between this light and dark energy. It is an ongoing battle that will never end until your last breath. But those of you who've stepped into the light have the advantage. Although this may sound super simple, I'll remind you of my light teachings of many years. A stadium filled with darkness, with 10,000 people, will be affected by one who turns on one light. For when you turn on one light, no matter how dark it is, darkness as defined cannot exist. This is the power. So you see the fairness in this. Although the challenging side of humanity shows itself intuitively, and the God side does not, when you find the light, it pushes the duality into a status of limbo, where the darkness is trapped. Therefore the power is on the side of the light. Light is active. Darkness is not. Darkness cannot show up and change a lighted room. But light will totally change a dark room. Perhaps it's time to try this. With pure intent say, "Dear God, tell me what it is I need to know." That starts the progress. Don't tell God what to do in your life. Instead say, "I am ready to know." That is a statement of wisdom. And that's when you begin to find out who you are. Don't be surprised if love flows into your heart. Don't be surprised if you find angels taking your hand and you can't explain the feeling. Don't be surprised if you have unexplained peace and fear. That's the big one. Take a look at where fear starts. It starts at the gut. This is a lower energy attribute of humanity. It has nothing to do with your enlightenment or your third eye. It starts in that place where you can control it, but if you don't, it will quickly move into your mind. The next time you have a fearful response, do you have the courage, the wisdom, the wherewithal to say, "Stop, I know what you're doing, do not move." Do not allow that darkness and that fear to go any further than the bottom of your heart. Let your wisdom and your love and your knowledge of who God is inside you take over. Then you will find the fear will go away. It will dissipate. Sometimes it will try to get you in the middle of the night, but even then you can control it totally. Think of the love of God next to you in a protective, lighted state. Say, "Get away, get in the back seat. I know who you are. You are the dark part of me, but you are not driving anymore." Does all this sound simple? Perhaps foolish? Could it be the answer to so much of life's challenge would be this easy? Ask around, it's not easy. but it's a profound step of faith that begins to separate you internally from a part of you that you thought was from somewhere else. Many feel separation anxiety. We even told you about this in the Kryon Book 1. We called it the implant. It's an implantation of permission to change the duality, and that's the Lightworker. I told you what I told my partner Lee when he first started doing this. I said, dear partner, you now have the ability with your light to stand within the highest mythology of the planet. Stand in the pentagram. Do it while they dress up in funny costumes and chant odd words in order to hurt you. Let them try their magic on you. All you have to do is smile at their attempts. For your light is far grander than anything that a human being can conjure up with their own darkness. Far greater than any darkness even a group of human beings can create. For you've tapped into the source. Ask him, he did it. For there was a time when a group hurled their magic at him during the first trip to the United Nations, and the result was nothing. Darkness hurled at light creates no effect. That's the truth. The object of this lesson, dear one, is so that you hear the truth that you are more powerful than any dark thing on this planet, more powerful than any demon that you're told might be in you. And if you want proof, just press on the door to God, let us in, and you will know that what I have told you today is true. That is why they call it a veil, for it completely hides what is actually there. Be aware, today we have not asked you to join anything, have we? Be aware, today we have not asked you to follow any protocol that introduces you to many books or lessons to buy. Instead, we invite you to read the instructions within the DNA that you came here with. Let mastery show itself, shamans that you are. That's the message of today. That's the only one that we're going to give like this one. It's something for you to think about as you look at the push and pull of energies on this planet. And blessed are those who have felt the energy of this day and of this lesson. For they are dearly loved by an entity who just wants to be with them, me. It makes you wonder who came to see whom, doesn't it? And so it is.